Smart, fresh, and uplifting. We've got the stories that make you want to say,
"What the hell?"
Hi, everyone. I'm Hal Eisner along with Hunter Lowry and Elsa Ramon. And this is What the Hell? And what the hell is going on with scams in this country?
Let's look at some numbers. In 2024, the Federal Trade Commission reported that U.S. consumers lost over $12.5 billion to fraud. That's $12.5 billion with a B dollars to fraud. That was about a 25% increase from 2023.
Also, the FBI is reporting that internet scams are really out of control. They caused about $16.6 billion in losses, which is up 33% from the previous years. That is a lot. They're also, because of AI, getting much more sophisticated and much more costly.
Now, Steve McFarland knows all about this stuff. Steve is the CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Los Angeles and Silicon Valley. And Steve, why the increase?
A lot of online fraud, a lot of different ways that scammers are using creative AI to solicit you on TikTok, a lot of social media, emails, phone calls, even door to door. Our office here in California gets 1,100 consumer complaints per day. Every day, sometimes less, sometimes more, but on average about 1,100. So there's a lot of scams and a lot of fraud going on. And some of that fraud includes tax scams. It's tax time. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about how to maybe protect yourself on some of the tax scams that are going around.
So what are some of the popular tax scams? I can tell you that I at least know one, because one time I got a call from somebody who claimed to be from the IRS, and that if I didn't pay them immediately, it was something like $2,500. They were going to send someone to arrest me. And, they tried all the fear tactics. And when I wouldn't give in because I knew immediately it was a scam, they started using profanity and yelling at me, which, I didn't have to get that far to know that it was a big scam before that, but that's the measures they're taking to scare people.
Yeah, it's true. And just yesterday, I'm a registered California tax preparer myself. I do a lot of work for charity. But one of the clients called me yesterday and had the same situation where there's a lot of emotion, aggression, and timing. And the number one tax scam that we see at BBB is imposters. IRS, Franchise Tax Board, government imposters that want to take your money and play on your emotion and threaten you with being arrested and having to pay. And then, of all things, they ask you to pay with gift cards, wires, transfers, cash apps, and so on. Don't do that. Number one thing that we have as imposters, be very careful on these phone calls and don't click on the unknown links on your phone or on your email and so on. The number two one that we get is a lot of creative AI going on right now. And it's only going to get better or worse, depending on which way you look at it. On fake refund emails, we can help you get a better refund, a bigger refund. Click here and let us help you do that. Or that you have a pending refund. And you might not know about it, but we do, and we can help you find that. Well, people are looking for money, and they're looking for ways to be able to get that. And they're clicking on these fake agents for tax work, and they're never going to get anything for that. There are also fraudulent tax relief companies. We hear them on the news, we hear them on the radio, sometimes in print, about if you owe money to the IRS or to the Franchise Tax Board or any other agency, let us help you. We can help you get that money back. Now, there are some legitimate companies that can help you, CPAs and attorneys and some licensed folks, and they're registered, but you got to check for sure. Don't click on unknown links and other people, because what happens is that you pay them an upfront fee. Now you've given them your personal information. And on top of that, you're not going to get your money back. So you've been whipsawed. Now you're going to lose, perhaps maybe in a future, compromise of your identity, let alone you're never going to get that money back.
Well,
The
let
other,
me get into something real quick before you get too far along, because you said something that really caught my eye, and I want to just add that I had the same sort of thing happen elsewhere, where I got this call from people saying they were with the DEA. And you could hear people in the background, like they were on a radio, like a police radio, and saying my address, and making it sound like they were going to send a unit out to my place. And it happened to be, they weren't aware apparently that as a news reporter, I had contacts, and I contacted my friends over at DEA, and they said, we never do that. Now, this was early on. But I think, Steve, that probably applies to a lot of these agencies. They will not call you like that. They will send you a certified letter. They will do something else. But a phone call like that, where they threaten you, is not in anybody's rule book. You said something about AI that really caught my ear. How much is that exacerbating the situation?
it's hard to be able to tell the AI solicitations from the original ones. And not only that, Hal, but these scammers are now using deepfakes, voices in the background, like you mentioned, of agents, and impersonating themselves as franchise tax board, or even for charities. This is the sheriff's department, or LAPD, and we're looking for funds to be able to support for kids or whatever. So it's AI, deepfakes. It's becoming a real big issue and a big problem. You got to beware. You got to research first. The next one I wanted to mention, though, was ghost tax preparers. There are folks that are saying, let me help you. I can get you a big refund and do it quickly. People are enticed by that, and they don't know, and they don't spend the time to research that tax preparer. You can do that at the irs.gov site. You can do that at the California CPA site. You can also do that at the CTEC, the California Tax Education Council, at ctec.org, to verify that that tax preparer is licensed to be able to do that work. And if you don't, I mean, we could see situations where people are losing not only the ability to have their taxes filed and whatever, people are filing taxes on their behalf and getting the refunds, and you're not getting it. And now on top of that, you've lost your personal identification because you've given them credit cards, social, birth date, other information. So you got to be very, very careful. There's some red flags, Hal, as you mentioned, and these are common in each one of these scams, and that is urgency. Let's do this now. They don't want you to take time to research. They don't want you to relax, take a deep breath, and take a look and research their background and so on. And you're going to get unexpected messages. For example, pay with Zelle, pay with gift cards, pay with a wire, and do this right away. And you're also going to get asked for your personal identification. Now, we're talking about somebody that wants to do your taxes, and they're asking you this information without even knowing your tax situation or anything. And they're asking you for your social and your birth date. That should send a flag to you for you to be careful and to beware about those types of situations. So those are some of the things to watch out for. But the bottom line on taxes is do some research. Check out that preparer. Make sure that the information that you're providing to them is correct and that they're responding back correctly. And don't be pressured. Don't be pressured at all. Just take your time, and it'll come out okay.
There are instances in which you can do your research, you can be dealing with a legitimate tax preparer, and you can still get burned. And that's the story that I wanted to tell you about. There's something that happened to us last year where we had our taxes done by a legitimate preparer. We did everything right. They were e-filing it. And as they were e-filing it, they actually saw the bank account where our refund was supposed to go to being changed to another bank account. This happened to about 10 of their customers, and 3 of them actually went through and were transferred to the wrong account. And let me tell you, that is just bone chilling. And have you ever heard of that? Is there anything you can do about that?
I have heard about it, but I haven't had that situation fortunately happen to me. For the listeners today, I can recommend that if you do have some situation maybe where you filed your tax return in good faith and maybe with a trusted tax preparer, um, in most of the situations, not always, it could be that the preparer transposed numbers on your bank account and went to someone else. That's the most common issue. Now, that doesn't mean it happened in your case, but that is the most common situation. So verify that the return that he submitted back is the right one. If that's not the case, you can go to the IRS and there's a button you can click, "Where's my refund?" and go through the process. Now, in that process, they're going to ask you to file up to. They're going to look for a account like where the check went, and they're going to try to trace that from your bank and where the bank released that. So it's kind of going backwards, back from the bank, and then where they went through the money. It's a long process. It's not going to be fun. In a lot of cases, they do find where the money went, and you're going to be responsible for that amount that you owe, regardless if your accountant made an error or not. All I can say is just double check everything, make sure that your tax return is accurate, that your preparer has the right number. And if that's the case, you got to go to "Where's my refund?" with the IRS. The Franchise Tax Board has a similar process. I wish you the best of luck on that one.
Thanks. I know exactly what you're talking about because we're in that process, and the IRS told us it could take up to 2 years to trace back the fraud and get our refund back. So I don't suppose there's really anything you can do. The hackers are that sophisticated.
I think you have to be diligent, and you're going to have to file that Form 3911 and be diligent and follow that through from the IRS to the bank, and stay on your bank to make sure that they respond, promptly to the IRS. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, as they say, and I feel sorry sorry for you. Oh my God, I have not had that situation, but I have heard of it. I think just stay diligent with your bank and the IRS, and hopefully you'll get your money back. Um, there are some other issues, Hal. Some fraud going on. A lot of fraud going on. Uh,
Well, there is, and I think that some of that is related to tax, but other kind of financial issues. Like I know of somebody who got caught up in a co-signing scam, where they lost a ton of money because they thought they were putting money in an account to help a friend by co-signing for a large amount of money so that they could get a procedure done medically. And it turned out that they were being funneled into a fake account and lost money. And how often do you find that these sort of co-signing scams happen? I had never heard of that before. And just one other thing to be careful of, and I know Elsa, has some thoughts on this as well, but I got an invitation the other day for a friend of mine, and it looked like a birthday party or something like that. It looked like a real invitation, and that invitation said, "Put in your name and your email and your password," and it had AOL, Gmail, and two others, and it looked real. But the thing about asking me for a password made it fishy. And so I started checking on that, and I checked with my friends in Texas who allegedly sent it to me. Turned out they didn't send me anything. So I want to talk about that, but first hit on co-signing scams.
we see co-signing scams mostly in the real estate world, where you're trying to help a family member or somebody else. And so we see it in the real estate area, also in timeshares. Timeshares, the people are selling fake timeshares. You're accosted at airports internationally. You probably had that happen where people want to coax, "Hey, Hal, let's go to breakfast, and I'll pay for it if you just listen to my spiel on a timeshare." Well, that could be fraudulent itself. What's really cruel is that the folks that broadcast to be able to help you get out of the timeshare, there's more fraud on that side than the actual selling you the timeshares. And I have a good friend came by yesterday. He lost $11,000 trying to get out of a timeshare, because it was a fraudulent company altogether. And I feel sorry for him. And really, you have to do your research, check out the companies, and like with the cosigns, uh, you need to check up licensing and referrals. Go to bbb.org and check out these financial institutions. There's a lot of ways that you could do this. I get kind of emotional about this. We have so much information out there. We have so much valid and true information out there. So if you're going to spend, like I did this year, an incredible amount on a new roof, I couldn't believe how much it cost. But if you're going to spend that much on a repair for your car, your house, for maybe a lending situation, including cosigns, research the company first. Research who owns that company. Go to bbb.org. Go to the California State License Board to check out the contractor, or the BA Bureau of Automotive Repair or real estate. Check out the professional first, and it's not going to guarantee you a perfect job, and you're going to be 100% satisfied. But the chances are so much greater that you're going to be satisfied, especially using a licensed contractor. We have so many horror stories of people that used people that they picked off next door, or maybe in Craigslist or whatever. Just horror stories where hundreds of thousands of dollars are lost.
And what about that idea of an invitation that you get, where somebody's inviting you to something, but it turns out that it's all concocted?
Well, it could be AI, and it could be. I think it's a clever scheme. It's a good thing that you caught it. It's a good thing that you smelled a rat on that one. Again, research it out. We have a tool at BBB called Scam Tracker. Scam Tracker is great. bbb.org/scam tracker. You can check on thousands of frauds by zip code, by type, by industry. Law enforcement uses it, and savvy consumers use Scam Tracker not only to post what their experience. Everything's for free, by the way. It's all free. But you can research those types of situations, those tax preparers, those car repair folks, those lenders, and you could check out these people and warn your family and friends on Scam Tracker so that they don't become victims. I wanted to mention, if you got time, on rideshare scams, if it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are so popular. Almost everyone uses them.
I travel a lot, and I use Uber and Lyft, and this particular rideshare company, I got in to the car, and the driver said nothing at all. Like, "Hey, Steve, how are you?" Or nothing. Didn't verify who I was, which is a little bit unusual. Smelled like weed inside the car. Okay. I probably should have been smarter and maybe jumped out, but I didn't. We traveled from Burbank Airport to Pasadena. We were going over 90 miles an hour, passing cars on the shoulder. Missed the 134 turnoff. Missed it. No English. And so this what's going on, and it's rare, but it does happen. Especially, I feel sorry for the ladies that are getting these drivers. The registered driver allows somebody to use his car to make some money, and that registered driver gets a piece of the action, and he also helps out his buddy, and his buddy may know English. My particular guy didn't know any English, and he couldn't read the signs. So it was a harrowing ride, one I'll never forget. But and I made it. I made it. But there's cases of where women are being intimidated and worse, especially at night. You just need to be careful. How do you prevent something like that? Well, verify the driver. Hi, Harry. And you can verify who he is, and maybe wait for him to repeat your name as well. So be careful.
Right. And I've seen on some of the ride shares that you have the option to choose a female driver. So, if you're taking Ubers late at night, or, you're drinking at the bar and you want a safe ride home, I have seen a female driver as an option. So look out for that too.
That's not to say that a female driver couldn't scam you too.
Correct. However, the likelihood of an assault of some sort is much, much lower.
And let me just tell you, let me tell you one thing that you want to avoid that I unintentionally fell into. You don't walk up to the car and say, "Hi, are you John?" Because if it's not John, he'll still say he's John. So that doesn't help you. Go and say, if it's supposed to be John, say, "What is your name?"
But
I
the good
I
news
fell into
though is
that
you know the
trap.
license plate. You know the license plate because the rideshare company told you what kind of car was coming and what kind of license plate it was.
That
That
doesn't
that
mean
should be
John's in
the
the
first
car.
thing you examine. Doesn't mean
That's right.
John's in the car.
That's right.
It doesn't mean that the license plate matches up to the license plate on your text message. So
Okay.
that helps.
So,
Yeah.
Steve, you gave, the scam tracker information for people to check on scams, but I kind of feel like I assume that everything is fake until proven otherwise at this point because I mean, there's so many scams, and with AI being introduced into these scams, it's so funny because I always say every time I see a video or I hear some audio, the first thing I say is it's AI, it's a scam until I know differently, and I kind of think that maybe this is the way people need to start thinking
Kind of sad,
about
isn't it?
these things that come unsolicited.
Yeah, I mean, you're a little jaded, I think. So,
A lot.
but yeah,
I'm a
I mean,
lot jaded.
isn't it sad that
A little jaded.
you start out a pessimist, instead of maybe, anticipating that I'm going to be treated fairly and ethically until I find out otherwise. Uh, I think a merge between the two is probably a great idea. So good for you. And especially with AI, I think it's probably going to cause all of us to be a little bit more towards that middle portion where we need to be a little bit less trusting, a little bit more, uh, uh, verify before you proceed. My message is, with all the information, you got to investigate. So it would save a lot of time. Speaking of time, Hal, do we have time for one more different type of a scam I can mention?
Sure.
Okay. I wanted to mention about gift card scam. And yes, we've passed the holiday season, but there's a lot of gift cards out there. Some of the gift cards, this company here, you can see that there's a barcode on the back of this gift card. Likewise, for this particular gift card, you can see a barcode. Uh, you'll notice on this Walmart card that the coating is blocked off with a perforated tab over the back of it. Uh, Same for Panda, Domino's, nothing, Burger King, nothing. And this is the one I really wanted to mention was about Visa. And I give these out to my staff for certain things. I bought 28 of these for my staff for the Christmas period, and 14 of them were tampered with. Now,
Wow.
the back, you have to tear off this back portion here, and I bought these cards for my staff. So what happens is on some of these cards is that the scammers will take them and take pictures, record the number. They take that home and then they try using them before you get home and use it. So before you want to use that Domino's card, Panda, Shell, any of these gift cards, they are constantly rotating, trying to use that number to buy stuff and because now you've funded that card at the store, CVS or Vons or wherever, and they jump in before you and use it. Now, what happened on this Visa card is that you need to tear off the back and then go online or on your phone and then verify you register that card before you could use it. Well, somebody went in and burned off those last 3 digits of the long number, and that means that you went in to verify. You couldn't verify the card. So I paid for them at the store, but the staff, 14 of them, could not verify. They could not verify the card. Now, I'm not going to say that this particular company who uses a contractor, I believe, to manage their gift card program, but any of these cards, it could be tampered with before it goes to Vons or to CVS, wherever you buy the card, or Target. And that's scary. So what do you do about it? Well, you use your card quickly. If you get a card, use it quickly. Save your receipts, save the tags, because you can phone in, and after you give them the numbers and your receipt that you paid for it, that you get at the register, you can get refunds. So there is some salvation here. You just need to be careful.
Can I just share a quick story here, if you don't mind? There was a day that I was covering a story over at UCLA, and I had to go to the UCLA Police Department to get an interview with somebody from the UCLA Police. And in the lobby was a student. And I remember that she was very, very upset and was going through throes of just uncontrollable crying. And I asked her, I said, are you okay? Can I help you? And said, what's wrong? She got scammed. She was told to go get some gift cards and use the gift cards to give to somebody so that she could pay them so much. And she got scammed. And she realized how much she lost and could not get over the emotion of that vulnerability that she felt. And that is what happens on the other side. When you become a victim of a scammer, it's terrible. Your vulnerability has been violated. And that manifested itself that day in that girl, a young student who was crying uncontrollably at a police department.
And a lot of times, these scams hit the most vulnerable students who can't afford it, elderly people who don't have the money, immigrants who don't have the cash. And I mean, they prey on the most vulnerable people who can least afford this kind of scam.
You know, Hal, they are heart-wrenching stories. Uh, Although on the other side, I mean, in our role, we get beat up every day with complaints from consumers and businesses that don't like the complaints. So we get it from both sides all day, every day. One of the redeeming factors is that some of these egregious cases, like you were talking about, I follow up with them. One guy, he bought tickets to send his family from India, airline tickets, and he got scammed by a fake agent. I went to South Central and got his $3,500 back and gave it to him. He was so happy after being distraught that he fell to his knees in our lobby and cried, and it was just as sad as when we saw him when he lost his money. I helped this one lady who had no business being accepted on this car company buying a used car, and got her back her $9,800. She was so appreciative. She writes me like too often. Okay, it's too much, just enough already, you know. But there are times when we can help people, and I think by these kinds of stories today, we're telling people to beware. Elsa's like, be a little bit more edgy, okay, and prove it to me about your ethics and your trustworthiness. And so this show today is awesome because it's putting a little message in people's ear. Maybe they should be a little bit more careful.
Well, there's certain red flags that we all know to look for. Like Hal caught one of his scams because it said, put in your password.
Right.
And are there certain things we should be looking at that are going to be like obvious red flags that are going to put us on alert?
Yeah, very simple, easy red flags. Like we talked about at the beginning, emotion. I only have this pet for 2 days before we have it euthanized or whatever. So we need your deposit today. They're playing on your emotions or with aggression. If you don't pay me that $500, that I got this message just the other day. If you don't pay this $1,500, failure to do so could result in jail time in caps. So those kind of things should probably send a little bit of a message to you that, you know what, they're really trying to make me do it now. There's a lot of emotion and aggression involved. The other one that you're going to see, if they won't see you, talk to you, if they're not going to show you that property, if a mover isn't going to show you or that property to you and deal with you only by email or by text, you know something's a little bit weird. So that's something else. And one of the more common ones, Hunter, is payment. If you're being asked to pay by gift card, Cash App, Wire, you know, come on, we
Right.
that alone happens
Just say
every
no.
day, and you should be very leery of that situation. Pay by credit card. I always tell people to pay by credit card. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to get your money back, but it gives you at least a chance of getting, some remediation.
Steve McFarland, the CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Los Angeles and Silicon Valley. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for all your information, the great tips. And we hope that all of you have gotten some good information out of this episode, and thanks so much for joining us.
Great being here. Thank you so much.
And that's What the How 2.0. I'm Hal Eisner, along with my co-hosts Elsa Ramon and Hunter Lowry. Hunter is our content producer. Jamie Knapp is our technical producer, editor, and handles all post-production. Earlier versions of the podcast, produced at the studios of Fox 11 in Los Angeles, are available through the link in our show notes. This version of the podcast is distributed by rss.com and available wherever you listen to podcasts. What the How 2.0 is produced in Los Angeles, California.